Busch is going to win the brother duel. He wins in Atlanta.
Hell yeah, we beat Kyle, right?
The second race for the 2021 season at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and a new driver in victory lane for this season. The one of Kurt Busch is locked into the NASCAR playoffs and ties up the Busch brothers' clashes with 2 wins, 2 for Kyle, 2 for Kurt, when they finish 1-2. Welcome to Backseat Drivers. I am Alex Weaver. From behind the wheel of the number 37 at Atlanta to Studio 3, Ryan Preece is here. And then obviously returning on the backseat, Kim Coon. Ryan, Kim, and I appreciate you joining us. It's a hot day in Atlanta, wasn't it?
It definitely was, but last day for that surface, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get your thoughts on that reconfig for Atlanta Motor Speedway. So let's get more into the battle of the Busch brothers. Ross Chastain may be the teammate of the year, but he may be enemy number 1 for Kyle Busch.
So the 42 car is now taking that high side, trying to take the line away from the 18, and look at what it does. The 1 car, Kurt Busch, drives right up to the inside of the 18. Kyle Busch off turn 4, a battle for the lead.
Let's dive right in. Fair or foul, what we saw with Ross Chastain helping out Kurt Busch?
To be honest with you, Ross and I have been teammates before, and if I needed Ross to look for some grip for me, I'd hope he would and kind of give me that clean air. So I think that's racing.
I think this is absolutely fair. I think if the roles were reversed and KB had won due to one of his teammates doing what Ross did for Kurt, Kyle Busch would be praising his teammates. You got 2 cars battling it out. Ross is a lap car. He's going to have to favor somebody. Why not his teammate?
Yeah, what are teammates for, like Kim said? This is going to be their last season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Kurt Busch gets the win. We know Chip likes winners, so could this be CGR's final race win of the season?
I think it
really
certainly could be their last one. Yes, I'd love to think that they get another one before they close up shop and Trackhouse moves in. But you look at the remaining tracks, yes, Kurt has won at a lot of them. I do think that their program is picking up. We've seen a lot of speed from them lately, but it's playoff time. We're closing in on playoff time. Everybody is upping their game, and I think that's going to keep CGR from getting to victory lane again, is everybody else stepping things up.
All right, Chip Ganassi Racing.
I think it's very possible. To be honest with you, I think Ross is extremely good at the aero game. So when we go to Daytona before the playoffs, I think he's going to be a big threat to win. And like you just said, their program has really picked up. The 1 car had a bunch of speed yesterday, and I think it's not the end for them.
Ryan, I'm obviously going to start with you on this one because drivers have a lot of opinions about this one. Are you sad to see this current reconfig?
Yeah, I am. So when we were riding around during the pre-race in the truck, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about how they're going to narrow the track up and how we're going to be even able to go too wide. It just seems like it's going to be really tough. And from a driver standpoint, when you're racing on that track, it's so wore out, but if you hit the line just right on the yellow painted strip on the bottom, there's a bunch of grip, or you can go up high. There's just a lot of different places to move around as a driver and gives you different options. So I'm going to miss it, and I don't even have the same amount of laps that some of these other guys have.
Yeah, Kim, we've covered this one for a long time with this.
Yes.
The old surface of Atlanta, we've heard it time and time again. You sad to see it go?
I know Ryan's going to say, well, you've never driven a race car on Atlanta's surface. Let's start with, yes, the surface needs to be repaved. The asphalt was chunking up during the race. We had a red flag. We had to fix that. Yes, it needs to be repaved. Will I be sad to see it reconfigured? A little bit. It's nice to have multiple lanes, but we've seen this before where tracks take gambles. We saw it with the Roval. Everybody was like, the Roval's not going to work. There were a lot of, bad things said about the Roval before we raced it, and I think it's more of a popular race than we ever thought it would be. And again, I know Brian's looking at me, he's like, but you've never been in a race car and you've never raced Atlanta. I think we got to do things for the fans, and if fans are going to be excited about the new reconfiguration, we should be excited.
Cue the Tony Stewart quote.
Happy fans, happy life is what we say around here. Okay, well, strong showings for both Harvick and Hamlin on Sunday, and we know that Harvick is always brought up when it comes to Atlanta, but both drivers are still sitting at a 0 in the win column. It's still hard to believe. With 5 races left in the regular season, the playoffs are looming. Kim, must win for the 4 and the 11?
I do not think it's a must-win for the 4 or the 11. I think we have 5 races left. We have 4 spots left in the playoffs. If you're looking at the different drivers that have won, we have 12 different winners so far. You're not going to see 5 different winners. So Hamlin and Harvick will both get in, regardless of whether or not they win before the playoffs. I think once we hit playoff times, then it's actually a must-win situation. Right now, though, not must-win.
I don't think it's a must-win. I think that both teams are still continuing to figure out what they need throughout the year. And when the playoffs do start, Harvick and Denny, I mean, when it comes to pressure situations, they always come through. So I don't see it being that way.
All right, well, I'm going to disagree with both just because, one, I am so tired of hearing about how the 4 and the 11 have not won yet. And two, I think when you're looking at how successful they were, especially the last 2 seasons, it just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit and wonder what's going on. So, yeah, must win for me. They can talk to me themselves.
Got to be different, right?
Always. Well, it's only been 1 off week, and it wasn't really that far off. So, Hendrick fans, don't find us on Twitter, but with their dominance at every racetrack this season, Ryan, is Atlanta the turning point where maybe teams are starting to catch up to Hendrick Motorsports?
I don't think so. I think, me being as a racer, if I have something in my back pocket, I'm going to wait for when it really matters at this point. They've shown their dominance. And I think once the playoff starts, they're going to turn up the heat again.
So you think it's a little bit of a sandbagging right now?
I think it's going to be interesting for the next 5 weeks.
Political always.
I partly agree and I partly disagree. I think that teams are closing the gap a little bit. Now, can we base Atlanta on what we're going to see in the next handful of weeks and what we're going to see in the playoffs? No, this is a one-off race. You still had 2 of the Hendrick teams finish in the top 7. A little bit of an off week for them. Yes, I do think teams are closing the gap. I'm looking at JGR, I'm looking at Penske. But I think Hendrick is still going to be dominant even when we hit the playoffs.
2 drivers, 1 cut line, and it really shook things up at Atlanta, too, with Kurt winning for these drivers. Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher can swing either way over the next handful of races. And like I said before, there is 5 left to get into the NASCAR playoffs. Ryan, you can only pick one. Who gets in, Chris Buescher or Tyler Reddick?
Politically correct answer? I mean...
No, we want your honest Ryan Preece answer.
Honest Ryan Preece answer. I mean, RCR in the 8 car, they've been really good. Tyler Reddick's been on it. I mean, you saw it yesterday. They had a bunch of speed. And then again, I was a little surprised. The 17 was extremely fast earlier this year, and especially at Atlanta. I think they won a stage there. So... But you never know. I mean, we're going to some road courses, and I know from being a teammate with Chris Buescher, he's actually really, really good on road courses, and maybe they can pull one off. Or Daytona's really the wild card. Ricky Stenhouse can pull one off. We can pull one off. We've had awesome speedway cars, and I think that's really going to be the deciding factor. And to go back on your point with if Denny or Kevin have to win, if we get a couple surprise winners here over the next few weeks, Daytona's, the heat's going to be really turned up, and it's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, don't get me excited for Daytona. I'm already there. Kim, Chris Buescher, and Tyler Reddick.
Sounds like you picked both.
You did.
Right.
You did pick both.
Pretty good at that.
Yeah, you are. I'm going to go all out.
One.
Yeah, I'm going to go all out. Reddick, you just look at his finishes recently, a 6th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. He's way more consistent than Buescher has been. But to your point, Ryan, I feel like Buescher is do or die. It's win or nothing. And so I do think that could get him to the playoffs. But if we're looking just from a points basis, the uptick we've seen from RCR, from Reddick, I think Reddick slides in there and gets into the playoffs.
We did ask you for the best Atlanta moment, your most memorable moment from that track in Georgia. 62% of you, which is pretty overwhelming when it comes to this, said the 2001 race. Kevin Harvick edges out Jeff Gordon in a storybook ending after the passing of Dale Sr. Ryan, we're not surprised that's the most memorable, right?
Nah, not surprised at all. I mean, I still watch that to this day. It'll pop up on my news feed, and I mean, it hits home for you. So absolutely.
Is that your most memorable from Atlanta?
For sure.
Okay,
yes.
Kim.
I want to have an answer that's different than that, but it's hard to disagree with that. You have the passing of Dale Earnhardt, the switch from the 3 to the 29, the black car to the white car. There was this kind of emotional tie to this win, and not to mention the fact that at the time it was one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history, him edging out Jeff Gordon. So it's got to be the 2001 Harvick win.
Yeah, a special race for fans, a special memory for Kevin Harvick too. He talks about that one a lot. So next up for the NASCAR Cup Series, the home track of the infamous Ryan Preece, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Cue the Dancing Lobsters or Denny Hamlin getting scared, whatever you want to play back here. But Connecticut bred, New Hampshire's the closest racetrack to you, Ryan. I know you have to be excited to get home.
Oh, yeah.
See the home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, the New Hampshire crowd, I don't know if you guys have ever walked around and seen the fans and how excited they get, but there's the infamous X1 lot, the X lot. And growing up there, riding my bike when I was a kid and just racing the modified, the entire New England crowd is just, there's really nothing like it. That, and when you go to some places that I haven't raced before, so you don't get a whole bunch of cheers, but when I go to New England, I mean, it's up there. So it's definitely, I'm excited to get up.
Well, how do you feel about your season so far? I know in the 37, a lot of goals when we talked earlier at the start of the season, but now 5 races to go.
I mean, to be honest with you, we've had our ups and downs, right? Blowing up last week at Road America certainly didn't help our case, but we had a pretty solid run at Pocono. Like I said, our super speedway package has been phenomenal. We've just typical, like every racer, if things would be different or would go your way, it could be a totally different season. But we're still fighting. We're doing a lot better than last year and the year before, so just building on it.
Yeah, horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right, well, Kim, ladies first. Who's your pick for Sunday in Victory Lane?
I got to go Larson. You look at his last 2 visits there, they weren't great, but then you look at his overall record at New Hampshire. Larson has 3 runner-up finishes. It's time for him to get a win at New Hampshire, and we know how good Hendrick has been, especially that 5 car.
We talk about teams catching up with Hendrick. We're just kidding. Hendrick's going to win.
Just kidding. It's like...
Ryan, you can pick yourself, but who you got winning in New Hampshire?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with organizations, so I get a third of the field.
Okay.
It's gonna be a Penske car, a Gibbs car, or a Hendrick car. But to be honest with you, Penske and Gibbs has been so dominant there in the past, and you can't rule out Kevin Harvick either. I mean, he's another one that a couple years back put it to Kyle Busch and won the race. So it's I'm gonna go with Kevin Harvick. I think he's gonna get his win this weekend.
We went from 13 to 1. I like it. 13 picks to 1. So I'm going to go with the guy who seems to be just really irritated this week after what happened in Atlanta. I'm going to go with the 18 of Kyle Busch. I'm mad Kyle Busch is a winning Kyle Busch in my book. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining us. Have a good weekend at home. Enjoy New Hampshire. Kim, always a pleasure. If you're race fans, make sure and tune into the NASCAR Cup Series at New Hampshire Motor Speedway coming up Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. We'll see you right back here next Monday in the backseat.